All right. Ready to dive into something kind of interesting.
Let's do it.
It's one of those topics that's always, well, a bit fascinating.
Yeah.
It's the whole men in uniform thing.
Uh-huh.
We're taking a deep dive into an episode from the Lost Tapes podcast called, get this, Why Are Women Attracted to Men in Uniform?
Oh, wow.
They're calling it Exploring the Timeless Allure.
I like it.
It's going to be pretty interesting going through, well, a lot of stuff, actually. Like,
What?
we're talking history, psychology, maybe even some evolutionary biology.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards.
Sounds like a plan.
Have you ever felt that, I don't know, that pull? You know when you see a firefighter all decked out in their gear
Oh, yeah.
or a soldier in their dress uniform?
Definitely.
Well, get ready because we're going to figure out what's really going on.
Oh.
What's behind this whole fascination with uniforms?
It's amazing how that attraction just keeps going.
I know, right?
It's like, it doesn't matter what time period, what culture.
Totally.
You see it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Ancient art, literature, and even like today's media.
It's everywhere.
There's got to be something about uniform, something that like taps into something deeper.
Right, like a primal instinct or something.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning
Okay.
with the history.
Sure.
Uniforms have been around forever, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what's the deal?
Well, historically, they've always been, I guess you could say, linked to certain qualities.
Great play.
Qualities we find attractive, like bravery, authority, honor, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, those make sense.
These qualities were especially important, I think, in those ancient societies where, survival was tough.
It was all about who could protect you.
Exactly. Strong protectors, strong leaders.
So it makes sense. Women would be drawn to, well, men who had those qualities, right?
Right. It's almost like a signal.
A signal.
Yeah, like a subconscious thing. Like, hey, this guy can keep you safe. And those signals were, how do I put it? They were made even stronger by the uniforms themselves.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Think about it like Roman soldiers.
Oh, yeah, with all that armor.
Yeah, all decked out, every little detail meant to show power,
Invincibility.
It's
like, don't mess with me.
Right, or those Spartan warriors.
Oh, in those red cloaks.
Yeah, a symbol that they were ready to,
Yeah.
shed blood for their city-state.
It's like they were saying, hey, check this guy out.
Right.
He's a warrior. He's brave. You want him on your side.
Exactly, and it wasn't just about, being strong.
What else?
Uniforms often had, symbols.
Or like what kind of symbols?
Symbols that connected the wearer to something bigger than themselves.
Oh.
Like, take those ancient Egyptian soldiers, they'd put these symbols of gods on their armor.
Wow, really?
It's like they were, borrowing power from the gods.
For protection.
For protection, yeah, exactly.
So it's like the uniform itself had this spiritual element.
Yeah, making the wearer even,
Even more attractive.
Yeah, more attractive.
Wow, I never thought about it that way.
It's interesting, right?
It is.
The appeal of a uniform, it's not just physical.
Right, it's deeper.
It's like it connects to these deeper needs, cultural needs, psychological needs.
Like what?
Like needing to feel safe, needing something to, believe in.
I see. Okay, so we've talked about the history.
Yeah.
Uniforms have been around forever. We get it.
Uh-huh.
But what about the psychology? Why do we still, react to them today?
Well, for one thing, uniforms project certain qualities.
Okay.
Qualities that are universally attractive.
Even today?
Even today.
Like what?
Like reliability, discipline, structure.
Okay.
A man in uniform, it's like he's saying, hey, I'm capable, I'm organized.
I'm dedicated to something bigger than myself.
Exactly.
It's like when you see someone in a firefighter's uniform, it's different,
Totally different.
than if they were just wearing, everyday clothes. It changes how you see them.
It's like the uniform makes them stand out.
Yeah.
It elevates them.
And it shows they belong to a group.
Right, a respected group.
Like the military, police, firefighters, like that.
Exactly.
It's not just about the individual then.
No.
It's about being part of something bigger.
Something important.
Right. Okay, I get that.
And then there's the whole power dynamic thing.
Oh, yeah.
Uniforms, they often mean authority, respect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that can,
be attractive.
yeah, attractive.
Historically, women have been drawn to men with power.
It's true.
And a uniform often shows that,
It does.
Like kings, generals, knights, all those guys.
They all had, their own special clothes.
That showed everyone who was in charge.
Exactly.
But does that mean that the attraction to uniforms is all about wanting a partner who's,
Dominant.
yeah, dominant?
That's a good question, and it's something that the podcast episode actually talks about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not necessarily about, like, wanting to be controlled. It's more about the qualities that often come with leadership.
Like what?
Confidence, competence, being able to, take charge.
Those are all good qualities.
They are, and I think they're attractive regardless of, your gender.
I see.
And a uniform can make those qualities seem, like, even stronger.
So it's not just about dominance.
No.
It's about feeling safe, feeling secure.
Knowing that this person can, handle things.
All right, so we've talked about history, psychology, even power dynamics.
Yep.
What about religion? What does the Bible have to say about this uniform thing?
Well, the Bible doesn't, directly talk about attraction to uniforms.
Okay.
But it's interesting that it praises virtues.
Virtues?
Yeah, good qualities.
Where do you-
Virtues that are often, associated with men in uniform.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like bravery, protection, loyalty.
Like King David.
Exactly.
He was a warrior king, famous for all his battles.
And he's definitely shown as a powerful, respected leader.
And what about those Roman centurions?
Oh, good point. Even though they were part of, the Roman occupying force,
Right.
they're often portrayed as figures of authority, discipline.
And wasn't there a story about Jesus and a centurion?
Yes. The centurion asks Jesus to heal his servant.
And Jesus was impressed by him, right?
Yeah, by his faith
Yeah.
and his understanding of authority.
So even in the Bible, the centurion's role as a soldier is, respected.
It is.
It's like the idea of military service authority, it's deeply ingrained.
Absolutely, even within religion.
And it shows that uniforms can represent more than just power.
They can.
They can represent faith, duty, service to something bigger.
Right.
Okay, so the Bible doesn't say anything bad about being attracted to uniforms.
No.
But what about, modern media? Movies, TV, that kind of thing?
Oh, they definitely play a role.
I bet.
Think about all those movies, TV shows
Yeah.
with soldiers, firefighters, detectives,
Uh-huh.
all looking amazing in their uniforms.
Saving the day. I mean, seriously, think about your favorite action movie.
Or crime drama.
The hero is always in uniform.
It's true.
It's like they're always showing us those positive things about uniform,
Yeah. Bravery, heroism, selflessness.
all wrapped up in a, nice-looking package.
Right.
It's hard not to be affected by that.
It is.
Like James Bond in his tux.
Or those fighter pilots from Top Gun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about looks either.
Right.
Those characters, they always have these amazing personalities,
They're strong, decisive, stoic.
but also sensitive and compassionate.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect combination.
It is.
No wonder people are drawn to it.
It's like a fantasy,
The knight in shining armor, coming to the rescue.
And the uniform, it becomes a symbol of all that.
But are we saying that our attraction to uniforms is just because of Hollywood?
I don't think it's that simple.
Okay.
I think it's like a lot of things all mixed together.
So like nature and nurture.
Yeah, something like that.
We have these deep down instincts, but then culture shapes how those instincts come out.
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
Okay, so it's complicated.
It is.
But here's another thing I've been wondering about.
What's that?
Do all uniforms have the same appeal?
That's a good question.
Are some uniforms seen as more attractive than others?
That's a really interesting point, and it adds another layer to all of this.
I feel like some uniforms are definitely more,
More appealing.
more appealing.
That's like those surveys they do ranking the sexiest uniforms.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Military uniforms, they're usually at the top.
Then firefighters, police officers,
What about doctors?
in those scrubs.
Or chefs in those white coats?
They wear uniforms too.
They do.
But it's different. They don't have that same,
That same allure.
Yeah.
I think it's because different uniforms, they tap into different things.
different values, different desires,
Exactly.
like military uniforms.
Yeah, they're all about bravery, strength, being willing to protect others.
Even if it means risking their own lives.
Right.
It's like that willingness to sacrifice,
Yeah.
that's what makes it even more appealing.
Exactly. And firefighters, too.
They're the same.
Courage, selflessness.
Running towards danger.
While everyone else is running away.
It's heroic.
It is. But let's pick this up in the next part.
Okay.
We can dive deeper into those different types of uniforms.
And what they tell us about, what we really want.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
Dive into the shadows of human nature with the Lost Tapes podcast, where the truths hidden beneath our daily lives are brought to light. We uncover the layers of complex relationships, hidden emotions, and raw realities, from mental health to life's hardest truths. No topic is off limits, no story too raw. The Lost Tapes podcast is your invitation to understand the unspoken facets of life. Join us and let's explore life's hidden sides, one story at a time. Don't miss out on more hidden truths. Subscribe now to the Lost Tapes podcast. Stay curious. Stay informed. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to never miss an episode.
All right, we're back, ready to dig a little deeper into this whole uniform thing.
It's a fascinating topic.
It is, isn't it? We were talking about how different uniforms have, different levels of appeal.
Right.
We touched on military uniforms, firefighters.
Uh-huh.
What about police officers?
Oh, yeah. Good one.
They're always high up there in those sexiest uniform rankings.
They are?
But it feels like there's more to it, you know?
I think so, too.
With police uniforms, it's like a mix of things, right?
Definitely.
There's that authority thing.
Yeah, upholding the law, keeping things in order.
That sense of security.
Exactly, like someone's watching out for you.
Keeping you safe.
Especially these days when, things feel a bit shaky.
Yeah, uncertain times.
People want that feeling of stability.
And a police uniform, it kind of represents that, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that how people feel about police uniforms, it can change.
It can.
Depending on, what's going on in the world.
It's true.
What did you mean by that?
Think about it, how people view law enforcement.
Yeah.
It's not always the same.
It changes.
It's always evolving based on what's happening.
Socially, political.
Oh,
So during times of unrest, or when there are those big cases,
misconduct cases.
Yeah, I wasn't
The
thinking.
appeal of the uniform, it can go down.
That makes sense.
It's like those negative things, they overshadow the good stuff.
Even if the uniform itself hasn't changed at all.
Right. It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Attraction, it's a complicated thing.
It really is.
It's not just about the uniform.
It's about the context.
Yeah, the whole picture.
Like those Spartan cloaks we talked about.
Yeah, with the bloodstains.
Back then, it was like, wow, this guy's a real warrior.
Right.
But now, it might not have the same effect.
People might see it differently.
Times change.
They do.
What was attractive in one era might not be in another.
It's all about what people value.
What they see is important.
Exactly.
This whole thing is making me realize that uniforms, they're more than just clothes.
They are.
They're symbols.
With meaning, history.
But couldn't this whole fascination with uniforms also be, because of our culture?
Oh, absolutely.
We've been conditioned to see them a certain way.
We've talked about how media shapes our perceptions.
Right. Movies, TV shows, books.
They all create this idealized image.
Of the man in uniform.
They do.
They're always hammering in those positive associations.
Bravery, heroism, selflessness.
All tied to that visually appealing uniform.
It's powerful imagery.
Like James Bond in his tuxedo.
Yeah, or those fighter pilots in Top Gun.
So stylish.
And it's not just about looks either.
Right, it's about their personalities.
Those characters are always portrayed as strong, decisive, in control.
But also sensitive, compassionate.
A perfect combination.
It's like a fantasy, right?
It is.
So are we saying that we're all just falling for a carefully crafted image?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's more about how those images connect to our own desires.
Fantasies.
Exactly.
We have those deep-seated drives,
You do.
And culture shapes how those drives come out.
Right. It's not one or the other.
It's both.
Nature and nurture working together.
So it's not just about the uniform itself.
It's what it represents.
In our minds, in our culture.
Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves, the heroes we admire.
It's making me think about those Egyptian soldiers again.
The ones with the god symbols on their armor.
It wasn't just about looking tough, was it?
It was about something deeper.
Connecting to something bigger than themselves.
Something powerful, something divine.
Do you think that same impulse is still around today?
I think so, definitely.
Maybe we don't use God symbols anymore.
Maybe not in the same way.
But that need for meaning, for something to believe in.
It's still there.
Especially in a world that can feel, a bit lost sometimes.
I agree.
And uniforms, they can become these symbols.
Of shared values, ideals.
They represent order, purpose, stability.
When things around us feel chaotic, unpredictable.
So if this attraction to uniforms is so deep-rooted,
So connected to our history or psychology.
can we ever really separate the symbol from the person?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one we're going to keep exploring.
In the next part of our deep dive.
We've talked about how powerful these symbols can be.
But we need to remember.
They don't tell the whole story.
Stay tuned as we try to figure out
The complexities of attraction.
the power of symbols
And the importance of seeing the person.
beneath the uniform. Wow. We've really been digging deep into this whole men in uniform thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
From like ancient warriors to modern day heroes.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, right?
It is.
All those historical bits, the psychology, the cultural stuff, it's all connected.
Definitely.
But I keep coming back to this one question.
What's that?
Can we ever really separate the symbol, the uniform itself, from the actual person wearing it?
That's a great question, and I think it's at the heart of what we've been talking about.
Uniforms are powerful, right?
Incredibly powerful.
But they don't tell us everything
Right, it's like we can't just assume someone's a hero.
just because they're wearing a certain outfit.
Exactly. We have to, think critically.
Look beyond the surface.
A uniform might represent all those good things, like bravery, selflessness.
But it doesn't mean every person who wears it is actually like that.
Not necessarily, no.
It's like that saying, never meet your heroes.
Ooh, I like that one.
Sometimes reality doesn't match up with our expectations.
We can get so caught up in the symbolism.
That we forget about the person underneath.
The individual.
Exactly. It's like we fall into this hero worship trap
Projecting all our fantasies onto someone.
without really seeing them as, well, a real person.
With flaws, with complexities.
So how do we find that balance?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It is.
I think it starts with awareness.
Awareness of what?
Awareness of all the stuff we've been talking about.
Like the history, the psychology,
The influence of media.
and our own biases.
Absolutely, we all have them.
So being informed, being thoughtful,
Not letting the uniform completely cloud our judgment.
we need to remember it's the person that matters.
In the end, yes.
Their character, their actions, their values.
Those are the things that make someone heroic.
Not what they wear,
Exactly.
just because someone chooses to wear a uniform.
Whether it's a police officer, a firefighter, a soldier,
Doesn't mean they're perfect.
or that their reasons for doing it are always, pure.
This whole conversation has really got me thinking.
It's thought-provoking, isn't it?
It is. I'm seeing the whole men in uniform thing differently now.
How so?
It's not just about, like, the surface level attraction.
It's about deeper stuff.
Our need for security, for meaning.
Maybe even a longing for, a better world.
I think you're right. Those are all part of it.
They're fundamental human desires.
And uniforms, they tap into those desires.
They do, in a very powerful way.
So next time I see someone in uniform, I'm going to pause for a second
Take a moment.
and think about what it is that's drawing me to that image.
Is it the symbolism?
The sense of safety.
Maybe a bit of both.
Exactly.
Be curious, be informed.
And most importantly,
See the person.
beneath the uniform.
Well said.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
I've enjoyed it.
Thanks for sharing your insights with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope this episode has given you something to think about.
To ponder.
The next time you see someone in uniform, really look at them.
Think about what that uniform represents,
Not just to you.
but to them as well.
Remember, it's not about what we wear.
It's about who we are.
The choices we make, the impact we have on the world.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.